Hi, welcome to River Pools TV. I'm Jim Spees. I'm one of the owners of River Pools and Spas, and I'm here with my business partner, Jason Hughes. We're going to talk about choosing the right contractor for you. No matter where you live in the country, or no matter where you live in the world, we want to learn how to choose the right contractor. We're going to touch on 3 points today, and one of the things that we want to talk about is the contractor's experience and the contractor's references. Jason, can you expound a little bit on that?
Yeah, I mean, you know, when you're in the process of buying an in-ground pool, there's a lot of decisions you have to make, and it's kind of easy to get caught up in, you know, which pool should I get, which options should I get. And I think that one that sometimes is often, you know, overlooked is the actual pool contractor, because, you know, you can have the best pool out there, best built pool out there, manufactured pool, but when it actually shows up on site, it's the way that it's installed, and it's the way that the contractor stands behind the work and the products that actually are going to determine your experience and how long your pool lasts and how, you know, the process goes throughout the installation. So, you know, one of the main points that we always like to talk about is reference list. And because we feel like the proof is in the pudding, and you know, you can have a great website, you can have shiny brochures, you can have nice looking trucks and work vehicles and so forth and so on, but really at the end of the day, it's your track record and how your customers feel about you that are going to give the consumer the greatest indication of what type of contractor you really are. And you know, so we talk about that a lot because it's something that we get a chance to talk with contractors from all around the world, literally, and especially contractors within the United States. And we get to see the good, the bad, and the ugly. And the one thing that does distinguish the really, really good contractors is the way that their customers feel about them. So when it comes to a reference list and the way that you can tap into that and learn that about the contractor is through their reference list. So when it comes to that, you know, one issue is, you know, pretty much any contractor who's been in business for several years can hand you a list of references, and you know, it may be 10 names long, it may be 20 names long, and what we found is that pretty much anybody can make, you know, a small percentage of their customers happy. So if you really want to get down to the nitty-gritty and find out what the contractor is really made of, the question is, how many pools have you installed? And then from there, how many references can you give me? And the relationship between those two numbers is important, because if they've done, let's say they did, you know, 10 pools last year and can only give you 3 references, or let's say they've done 50 pools over the past 8 years and can only give you 10 references, that means that you have, you know, a 1 in 10 chance, or, you know, a 3 out of 10 chance of being happy. So, you know, you need to find out how many pools have been done by the contractor, and then how many of those references that they can actually give you.
And it's really important, Jason, and I can't stress this enough, because with our company, we've installed over 700 pools, and we give a reference list out, an actual reference list with names, addresses, and phone numbers of over 700 customers. And so if the person, like Jason was saying, has been in business for 10 years and they've put in 200 pools, well, if they're giving 20 references, well, the consumer is well educated today. They take the time to really research, and they're not falling for that 20 reference list anymore. They're starting to say, because it's out there, you know, there's people like us that are saying, demand it. Demand that they show you their customers, because you should pick and choose who you want to call. They shouldn't be picking and choosing for you. Naturally, they're going to cherry pick the best people. Yeah. Why wouldn't they? Yeah. If we cherry picked our best people, if we took 25 or we even picked 50 people, you would think they were our relatives. You would say, there's no way that you're that good. So we don't put just the top of our best customers. We put everyone. And the other importance of that is those people will offer advice freely. You know, they'll say what they would have done if they had to do over again. Yep. They can tell you whether that contractor helped them, you know, whether they steered them in the right direction, kept them from making a bad decision. There's a lot of different things that the references, the importance of talking to references. And when you get that list, when someone hands you a list of 500 people, daggone it, go a couple pages here and there and pick 2 or 3 out and take the time before you spend all this money to call them. It only takes a few minutes. call a few of them. You got a big list, but I would never settle for 10 or 15 references, because if you do, you're going to find yourselves in a lot of trouble. And we just had one last year, one contractor, where we went and did repairs on 2 pools that contractor installed. He was reading our blogs about the reference list. And so what he did was, he said he had put in 10 pools, and then he gave 10 references. So well, we knew he put in a lot more, and he had probably 10 problems. But these weren't small repairs, folks. These repairs, unfortunately, one was $60,000 of repairs, and one was about $20,000 of repairs. So please, please, please check those references.
Yeah, I mean, and there's so much value there. It's really, the values, I mean, the references are golden, because they're gonna, when you call them, they're gonna tell you about the issues that they confronted with the contractor and how he handled them. They're gonna tell you, like Jim said, what they would do differently. They're gonna give you so much input on what it's like to actually own the pool and actually deal with that contractor. So it's aside from taking the time to educate yourself about the product, on your own, calling the references is really the second best and most important thing that you could ever do when it comes to this type of investment.
And we would probably differ on that a little bit. I think it's the most important thing.
Well, that's a good point. Could be.
It's, to me, people don't do it enough, and I hear it so many times. Well, they gave me 15 references, and that's plenty. That's plenty. And I'm thinking to myself, my goodness, that company put in 500 pools and they gave 15 references, and that customer thinks that's plenty. That's terrible.
Yeah.
I would never hand out 15 references. When we had 15 pools in the ground, that's when I gave out 15 references. And I think we hit 300 before we quit giving out 100%.
Yeah.
And we're well over 90. We're probably about 96% with our reference list. So you can't keep everybody happy. We all know that. But you should have done your best to keep them happy. And if you haven't done that, then something's wrong.